After 60, some women stop caring if they ever find love again. And the shocking part, they're not sad about it. They're relieved. No crying, no dating apps, no hoping someone will call, just calm. If you've ever wondered why some older women actually enjoy being alone and why they look more relaxed than women half their age, stay with me because what's really going on will change how you see everything about women, aging, and happiness. Now, let's go straight into the topic. For many women over 60, being alone is not a backup plan or a sad ending. It's a choice they've been building toward for years without even knowing it. By this age, most women have already been through marriage, kids, taking care of everyone, family drama, cheating, divorce, loss, and spending their whole lives making sure everyone else was okay. Unlike younger women who still think they need a partner to be happy, older women often hit a point where they just stop trying to make others comfortable. They stop faking it, they stop making themselves smaller, and instead they finally take up space. One of the biggest psychological reasons older women choose to be alone is that they're tired of managing everyone's feelings. For decades, most women spent their energy keeping the peace, fixing problems, being the emotional support for everyone around them. They were supposed to be kind, giving, patient, and understanding, no matter how drained they felt. Over time, this builds up into something heavy, not just being tired, but being worn out emotionally. By 60, some women feel like they've already given enough. Being alone stops being scary and starts feeling like breathing room. It's not about hating people, it's about finally putting themselves first. Another huge thing is they stop believing the lies. Younger women often think relationships are about love, trust, and growing together. Older women have seen enough to know better. They can spot fake niceness in 5 seconds. They see selfish behavior before it even fully shows up. They feel when someone's using them almost right away. And once the fantasy of, if I just love him more, he'll change goes away, they stop putting up with garbage. When an older woman chooses to be alone, it didn't just happen overnight for her. It only looks sudden to everyone else who wasn't paying attention. There's also a big shift in how women see themselves after 60. A lot of older women stop trying to be what everyone else needs. They're done proving they're a good wife, a good mom, a good friend, or a good girlfriend. They start deciding what they actually want, and what most of them want is peace. And peace doesn't negotiate. Anything that messes with it, complaining, mood swings, neediness, disrespect, it gets cut out. No arguments, no drama, just distance. For some women, especially those who went through bad marriages or years of being ignored emotionally, being alone is how they take back control. Most of their lives, they felt controlled by what people expected, what they were supposed to do, or guilt. After 60, time feels different. Every year matters more, and the idea of wasting time on people who drain them feels completely wrong. Psychology shows that as people get older, they care less about putting up with stress and more about keeping things simple and clear. Older women just act on this faster and stronger. Another hard truth is that many older women choose to be alone after realizing people only wanted them for what they could give. Cooking, cleaning, emotional support, taking care of things, being the stable one. Once they stop doing all that, or once they start saying no, the relationship changes. When the appreciation disappears but the demands stay, older women notice. And unlike younger women, they don't fight about it. They just leave. There's also the issue of resentment that's been piling up. Older women often carry anger quietly for years. They don't yell, they don't have big blowouts. They watch, they remember, they keep track in their heads, even if they never say anything out loud. When things finally feel too unbalanced to fix, they're done completely. To everyone else, it looks cold. Psychologically, it feels like relief. A lot of people misunderstand why older women are okay being alone. They think she's lonely, depressed, or broken. In reality, many older women who live alone say they feel calmer than they've felt in decades. Less stress, fewer fights, more quiet in their own heads. This doesn't mean being alone is always good for everyone, but it explains why some women choose it on purpose. Another big reason is self-respect. As women age, respect becomes more important than companionship. Being ignored, talked over, or taken for granted feels unbearable. Younger women might deal with disrespect because they're scared of being alone. Older women would rather be alone than feel small. When respect gets violated over and over, the decision to disconnect becomes final. There's also something happening in the brain. Research shows that as people get older, they get better at controlling their emotions. Older people react less and choose more carefully. Older women aren't emotionally dead, they're emotionally picky. They only invest where they feel valued, respected, and calm. Everyone else just fades away. For some older women, choosing to be alone is also connected to grief. Losing parents, friends, or a spouse changes how they see relationships. After enough loss, some women stop attaching so easily. They get careful about who they let in. Distance feels safer than getting hurt again. Silence feels safer than opening up. It's important to know that this isn't about hate. It's about boundaries that should have been set a long time ago. Many women wish they had learned sooner how to say no, how to walk away, how to protect their own feelings. After 60, they finally do it, sometimes too hard, sometimes too fast, but almost always on purpose. Another thing people overlook is that older women aren't interested in potential anymore. They want things that already work: shared values, emotional stability, real respect. If that's missing, they don't wait around hoping it gets better. They move on. This isn't being negative, it's being smart. There's also a deeper, almost spiritual shift. As women age, they think more about meaning, purpose, and inner calm. Shallow friendships feel empty, drama feels pointless, conversations that go nowhere feel exhausting. Choosing to be alone is sometimes about making room for silence, thinking, and being real. However, people often see this as bitterness or being stuck up. In reality, many older women who choose to be alone are very thoughtful. They've just decided that fewer real connections are better than a bunch of fake ones. And if real connections aren't available, being alone is better. One of the biggest psychological truths is this: older women don't choose to be alone because they hate people. They choose to be alone because they finally learned to love themselves. There's also the way society treats older women that pushes them toward wanting to be alone. Women over 60 are often treated as invisible. Their opinions don't matter as much. Their appearance gets criticized or ignored. Their value gets questioned. When you spend years being treated like you don't matter, eventually you stop trying to matter to people who can't see you anyway. You start mattering to yourself instead. And that shift is powerful. Many older women also talk about the freedom from judgment that comes with being alone. When you're in a relationship, especially a traditional one, there's always this layer of judgment. Am I doing enough? Am I looking good enough? Am I being a good partner? When you're alone, all that drops away. You can eat what you want, wear what you want, spend your time how you want. There's no one critiquing your choices or making you feel guilty for living your life. This kind of freedom is addictive in the best way. It's not selfish, it's self-honoring. Another overlooked aspect is how exhausting it is to train another person. By 60, most women have spent decades teaching men how to be partners, teaching them to clean up after themselves, to remember important dates, to communicate their feelings, to notice when something's wrong. It's exhausting. And many older women just don't want to do it anymore. They don't want to be a teacher or a mother to a grown man. They'd rather be alone than spend their remaining years raising another adult. In part 2, we'll go deeper into what happens after older women choose to be alone, how it affects their mental health, how men react to it, the hidden dangers of isolation, and how some women find balance without going back to emotional chaos. If this topic speaks to you, stay with me for the next part. You'll understand this on a much deeper level, and it might even help you make peace with your own life. When older women choose to be alone, something surprising usually happens first: relief. Not excitement, not celebration, but relief. The stress goes down. The constant worry about what someone else thinks disappears. There's no one to perform for, no one to explain things to, no one to let down. Psychologically, this relief can feel amazing, especially for women who spent decades managing other people's moods. For the first time in years, quiet feels safe instead of scary. But that relief doesn't stay the same forever. Over time, it changes. Some women turn that quiet into strength, clarity, and joy. Others slowly drift into shutting down emotionally without realizing it. This is why the psychology of older women choosing to be alone is complicated. It can be powerful or harmful depending on what fills the empty space. Many older women say that once they stop dealing with everyone else, they start finding parts of themselves that got buried under responsibility. Old hobbies come back. Creativity comes back. They paint more, garden more, read more, think more. Without constant noise from the outside, their own voice gets louder and clearer. This is one reason why some older women look more peaceful and grounded after they disconnect. They're no longer living in reaction mode. However, there's another side people don't talk about much. Humans need connection, even people who love being alone. When being alone is a conscious choice, it can be healthy. When it turns into permanent avoidance, it can quietly damage emotional flexibility. Some older women become so protective of their peace that they stop letting anyone close enough to support or challenge them. Psychologically, this creates emotional stiffness. They feel stable, but also unreachable. Men often struggle to understand this phase. Many take it personally, thinking they did something wrong. Others see it as rejection or punishment. In reality, most older women aren't avoiding men specifically. They're avoiding emotional games. They're done with mixed signals, power plays, or constantly having to guess what someone wants. If a man brings calm, respect, and consistency, many older women stay open. But if he brings drama, testing, or acting entitled, the door closes quietly and forever. Another important shift after 60 is how women handle conflict. Younger women often see conflict as something to work through. Older women increasingly see conflict as something to avoid, not because they're weak, but because they finally understand the cost. Stress hurts sleep, raises blood pressure, affects the heart, and messes with overall health. Older women are more aware of this connection. Choosing to be alone becomes a health choice as makdaum, H as an emotional one. There's also the issue of trust. Many older women have trusted deeply and paid for it emotionally. Betrayal hits harder later in life because it feels like there's less time to recover. When trust breaks after 60, many women don't try to rebuild it. They just step back. This isn't revenge, it's protection. Some older women also choose to be alone because they feel invisible. Society often stops caring about older women. Their opinions get dismissed as old-fashioned. Their feelings get minimized. Their experiences get ignored. Over time, some women stop offering themselves to a world that doesn't seem interested anymore. Silence becomes a response to being overlooked. Interestingly, many women who choose to be alone still want real connection, but only under very specific terms. They want depth without chaos, honesty without games, friendship without control. If those things aren't available, they choose being alone. This careful selectiveness gets mistaken for being cold. In reality, it's wisdom earned from years of experience. Another hidden factor is pride mixed with self-respect. Older women often refuse to beg for attention, love, or understanding. If they feel unwanted, undervalued, or taken for granted, they remove themselves. Younger women might argue, chase, or try harder. Older women walk away quietly. Family issues play a role too. Some older women distance themselves from adult children or relatives after years of disrespect, entitlement, or emotional neglect. This choice is never easy. It usually comes after repeated boundary violations. Psychologically, this can be one of the most painful but freeing decisions a woman makes. She chooses self-respect over family obligation. But being alone carries risks. Without feedback from people they trust, some women get stuck in their own stories. Small hurts can grow bigger. Loneliness can disguise itself as independence. This is why the healthiest older women don't cut off everyone. They cut off the wrong people. They keep one or two real connections that offer honesty, warmth, and mutual respect. There's also the danger of emotional shutdown. When pulling away becomes a habit, emotions flatten. Joy dulls, sadness numbs, life becomes organized but colorless. This is not peace, it's emotional starvation. Older women who do well learn to balance being alone with staying selective about connection. The healthiest outcome happens when a woman cuts off chaos, but not humanity. She protects her peace without building walls so high that nothing can get in. She learns that boundaries don't require disappearing, distance doesn't require silence, and being alone doesn't require bitterness. For men trying to understand older women who choose to be alone, this is the key thing to know. When an older woman pulls away, chasing her rarely works. Questioning her rarely works. Guilt rarely works. Respect does. Calm does. Consistency does. If she feels safe, she might slowly open up again. If she feels pressured, she disappears even more. For older women reading this, the deeper question is not whether choosing to be alone was right or wrong. The question is this: what are you building in the quiet? Peace is powerful, but it has to be lived, not just protected. Being alone can heal, but only if it's chosen on purpose, not used as armor. Some of the most fulfilled older women are those who learned this balance. They cut off disrespect, they cut off drama, but they stayed open to sincerity. They allowed friendship without giving up self-respect. They learned that peace and connection are not opposites. They work together. There. Another thing worth understanding is the role of freedom. For many older women, being alone means freedom from performance. No more pretending to be younger, prettier, more agreeable, or more interested than they actually are. No more laughing at jokes that aren't funny. No more nodding at opinions they disagree with. No more managing a man's ego just to keep things smooth. This freedom feels like finally exhaling after holding your breath for decades. There's also freedom from comparison. Younger women often feel pressured to compete, to measure up, to prove their worth against other women. Older women who embrace being alone often report feeling liberated from that race. They stop caring who's thinner, who has a better relationship, who looks younger. They care about what actually matters to them: health, peace, purpose, joy. This shift is deeply psychological. It's a move from external validation to internal satisfaction. However, not all women experience this positively. Some women choose to be alone not from strength but from hurt. They've been rejected, abandoned, or betrayed so many times that being alone feels like the only safe option left. For these women, solitude isn't empowering, it's protective hiding. The difference is crucial. Empowered solitude is active, it's chosen with awareness. Protective hiding is passive, it's chosen from fear. Women in the first category tend to stay emotionally engaged with life, hobbies, passions, friendships, growth. Women in the second category tend to emotionally withdraw from everything, not just relationships. They stop trying, stop caring, stop feeling. This can lead to depression, anxiety, and a sense of meaninglessness. This is why community matters even for women who prefer being alone. Community doesn't have to mean constant socializing. It can mean one good friend, a book club, a volunteer group, a neighbor you talk to once a week. Small connections that remind you you're still part of the world. Many older women find this balance beautifully. They live alone, but stay connected in small, meaningful ways. Another overlooked element is sexuality and desire. Society often treats older women as if they're past the age of wanting physical intimacy or romantic connection. This is false and damaging. Many older women still experience desire. The difference is they're no longer willing to tolerate bad treatment just to access intimacy. They'd rather go without than settle for someone who doesn't respect them. This isn't dysfunction, it's standards. Some older women also discover or rediscover their sexuality after leaving unsatisfying relationships. Being alone gives them space to explore what they actually want without shame or pressure. For some, this means dating casually on their own terms. For others, it means embracing celibacy without regret. Both are valid. There's also the financial component. Older women today are more financially independent than previous generations. This changes everything psychologically. Women who can support themselves don't need to stay in relationships for survival. They can leave. They can choose to be alone without fear of poverty or instability. Financial independence removes one of the oldest reasons women stayed in bad situations. And this empowerment is psychological as much as practical. It says, I can take care of myself. I don't need to be saved. It's also important to address the stereotype of the bitter, angry old woman. Yes, some older women are bitter. But bitterness usually comes from unprocessed pain, not from being alone. Women who work through their hurt, who grieve their losses, who forgive themselves and others, are rarely bitter even if they live alone. Women who bury their pain and pretend it doesn't exist often become bitter whether they're alone or not. The issue isn't solitude. The issue is unresolved emotion. This is why therapy, journaling, spiritual practice, or honest conversations with trusted friends matter so much for older women. Processing the past prevents it from poisoning the present. Many women who choose to be alone do this work. They reflect, they heal, they grow, and they emerge stronger, calmer, and more whole. Another beautiful aspect of older women embracing being alone is the modeling they do for younger women. When a young woman sees an older woman living fully, joyfully, independently, it shatters limiting beliefs. It shows her that happiness doesn't require a partner, that worth doesn't come from being chosen, that life doesn't end at a certain age or relationship status. This cultural shift is powerful. It's rewriting what's possible for women. However, societal pressure still exists. Older women who choose to be alone often face judgment. People ask intrusive questions. Why aren't you dating? Don't you want companionship? Aren't you lonely? These questions carry an assumption that something is wrong with her. This pressure can make women doubt themselves even when they're genuinely happy. It's important for older women to trust their own experience over societal expectations. If you're happy alone, you're allowed to be happy alone. You don't owe anyone a relationship. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Your life is yours. One more psychological factor is the concept of enough. Many older women reach a point where they feel they've experienced enough of certain things, enough romance, enough partnership, enough compromise, not in a defeated way, but in a satisfied way, like someone who's had a full meal and doesn't need more food. They're complete. This sense of completion allows them to stop searching and start simply being. It's not about giving up. It's about arriving. There's also something to be said about the reclaiming of time. When you're in a relationship, especially one where you're doing most of the emotional labor, time disappears. You're always thinking about the other person, planning around them, accommodating their needs and schedule. When older women choose to be alone, they get their time back, all of it. And time, at this stage of life, is the most valuable thing there is. They can spend their mornings however they want. They can travel when they want. They can go to bed early or stay up late without explaining themselves. This ownership of time is deeply satisfying. Many older women also report feeling more authentic when they're alone. In relationships, especially long ones, women often adapt themselves to fit their partner's preferences. They soften their opinions, adjust their personality, hide parts of themselves to keep the peace. After years of this, some women don't even know who they really are anymore. Being alone gives them space to remember, to rediscover their real voice, their real preferences, their real self. This process of becoming yourself again is powerful and often joyful. It's like meeting an old friend you thought you'd lost forever. Another thing that's rarely discussed is the relief from sexual pressure. Many older women, especially those who've been in long marriages, felt pressured to be sexually available even when they didn't want to be. X became another chore, another thing on the list of ways to keep their partner happy. When they're alone, that pressure disappears completely. They can reconnect with their own body on their own terms, or not at all. There's no performance, no obligation, no guilt. For many women, this is incredibly freeing. It allows them to redefine their relationship with intimacy and pleasure in a way that actually feels good. For women watching this, the question isn't whether you should be alone or not. The question is whether your choice, whatever it is, comes from clarity or fear. Are you alone because it genuinely serves your peace and growth? Or are you alone because you're afraid of being hurt again? Both answers are okay, but knowing which one is true helps you move forward with intention instead of just reacting to pain. Similarly, if you're in a relationship, is it because you genuinely want to be, or are you there because you're scared of being alone? These are hard questions, but they're worth asking. If this topic resonates with you, take a moment to think about your own life. Are you choosing to be alone to protect your peace or to avoid risk? Are you staying connected because you want to be or because you're afraid of what people will think? Awareness is the difference between living fully and just surviving. If this message spoke to you, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience matters, and your story might help another woman realize she's not alone in how she feels.